Patricia. I'm Chief Exec of Trafford Domestic Abuse Services, and I've seen so many changes over the past 30 years for TDAS, especially the past 11 years since I joined the organisation. I first started as a family support worker in our refuge, and I remember at the time the difficulties we would have in trying to be heard as a voluntary organisation and having a voice and a seat at the relevant tables and the respect so we could advocate for our service users. That was always a struggle, and you know, the good thing is that isn't the case now, and our service user voices are being heard because we do have them seats at the table. We're respected in the Trafford community. You know, professionals come to us for advice on domestic abuse, and that just means the world to us because it means our service users are going to be getting the services that they actually need. Our services have changed so much over the past 30 years. I mean, when we first opened in 1990, it was a refuge, a small refuge that offered, you know, safe haven for a number of women and their children. And that in itself, our accommodation offer has increased. You know, we now have space for 25 families and individuals to have a safe space to live and rebuild their lives. We offer support in the communities. We have a whole community service now, outreach, so we can support families in their own homes. Our children and young people service has expanded. You know, we have children and young people's workers in our refuge, supporting the children with one-to-one and group work. We have community workers who go out into schools and hold one-to-ones and group sessions with young people. But I think the prevention work that we do and the education work, I think, has been the biggest change. And you know, that did come about off the back of that cycle of abuse, you know, trying to break that cycle of abuse of, you know, children ending up being in refuges as children, but then as adults as well. And, you know, so we're really, really passionate about the education and the prevention work that we deliver in schools. We changed our name in 2012 from Trafford Women's Aid to Trafford Domestic Abuse Services, and that was because we felt our old name was a bit of a barrier to men who maybe wanted to access the services. And since then we've adapted our services in so many ways to meet the diverse needs of the service users that access our services, and you know, to make sure that they're culturally appropriate, that they're accessible, and that we're meeting their individual needs. TDAS is really passionate about partnership working. Service users that access our services, you know, they come with multiple needs, not just domestic abuse that they've experienced, and in order to meet them needs, we work with our local partners, whether that be public, statutory bodies or other voluntary organisations, and that partnership that we've built is just key to making sure that the service users are at the centre of everything that we do in order for them to have that holistic support that they need to move on with their lives. It's been an amazing 30 years for the organisation, and looking to the future, we absolutely want to keep the quality core services that we're delivering to families and individuals across Trafford. But what we want to really kind of develop and focus on is our prevention and education, you know, support work, where we're raising awareness, we're educating young people, you know, saving them the pain of domestic abuse, and it's also a very cost-effective way of, you know, supporting victims of domestic abuse. So we want to, you know, victims to be in a position where they feel that they can leave, you know, unhealthy and abusive relationships earlier, and that there's services there to support them at that time when they need it, so they don't have to leave their home and move elsewhere for safety. We know that the sooner a victim of domestic abuse accesses support, the better the outcome for them, and that is why it is vital that we make domestic abuse everybody's business. We need to be raising the awareness in our community, educating professionals on their responses if victims of abuse ever disclose to them or they suspect there's any domestic abuse happening, and that is why our vision for the future is that raising awareness, education and that earlier intervention. Funding has always been and always will be an issue for charities, and that's why TDAS, we have to be innovative. We come up with creative solutions to meet changing need, meet demand, making sure our service users are receiving the support that they need to move on with their lives. Demand for our services has increased during the current pandemic. Some weeks, we're receiving triple the amount of referrals that we would usually be receiving, and off the back of that, we really looked at the need to open additional accommodation provision to support people who needed to leave their homes. And if it wasn't for the Trafford community getting behind us to support the opening of that, whilst we're in a pandemic, we wouldn't have been able to do that. And that's a 6-bed refuge for single women that was filled within less than a week. So the need for that provision was definitely there, and the Trafford community helped us achieve that. I just want to take this opportunity to thank everybody that has supported, donated, volunteered for, got behind all the work that TDAS has done over the past 30 years. We honestly couldn't have achieved half of what we have if it wasn't for that support. We continue to need your support to make our vision a reality, where Trafford is a place that victims of domestic abuse get person-centred, fantastic, timely support in order for them to break free from that domestic abuse, and where our youth are educated so they're aware of what an unhealthy, a healthy, an abusive relationship is, and it prevents them from becoming victims of domestic abuse in the future.